that, again, we are recording, and I'll pass it over to you, Diana.
Well, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it. Thank you and welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining our GCV Educate series. This segment is on social media marketing, and our program today is being hosted by Cord Media. I'm going to introduce both of your presenters. Doug Burr is Director of Digital, and Doug has worked in advertising and marketing in the Coachella Valley for 15 years, including 8 years in-house in the gaming, hospitality, and entertainment industries, 7 years on the agency side, adding a wider variety industry including medical, automotive, home building, and business to business. Currently, he oversees digital strategy, media placement, and website development for Cord Media. Andrea Nishtovitz is the social media strategist, senior social media strategist. Her experience includes 7 years working in the hospitality, marketing, and advertising agency. She's been with Cord Media for over 3 years and is responsible for strategy, content development, and social management for dozens of clients. Before we turn the program over to them, I just wanted to take a moment and take care of a couple of housekeeping rules. We're going to ask that everyone stay muted. If you happen to fall off of mute, we have Brandon on the back end who will take care of that for us. And as far as questions are concerned, we ask that you enter them into the chat or raise your hand, and we will definitely get to them at the end of the presentation. And with that, I turn it over to both of you.
Thank you, Diana, for the introduction, and thank you, Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce, for hosting this virtual session. It's nice to have these meetings, even though we're all located in different parts of the valley. It's great that we can all still come together and discuss topics like social media marketing like we are today. So that being said, yes, Andrea and I are from Cord Media, and we're here today to discuss social media marketing. That is a very broad topic, and we'll touch on a lot of different concepts and issues, and have some other best practices and thoughts that we'd like to share with you. So without further ado, and to be respectful for everyone's time, we'll start our presentation right now. So again,
we can skip that since you had the honors.
But if people wanted to get a picture of what we look like, that is me in front of the gorilla, and that is Andrea jumping for joy in the air. And yes, my experience with social media goes back to when businesses were still trying to use MySpace, believe it or not. And then Andrea has been the senior social media strategist for, is it 3 years, 4 years now? How long?
It's gonna be 3 years in October.
So yeah. So we have combined. We have a lot of experience. Andrea basically handles all of our clients day to day in terms of engagement, reactions, strategy, calendar. What else do you have to do for social media?
Hashtag strategy, all the fun things. I get to do all the fun things.
Yeah, and I just kind of have thoughts about it, and then I try to give her some help every now and then and assist her with the digital.
Yeah, we brainstorm together sometimes, so that's fun.
So social media, we've all pretty much know what it is for the most part, but today we want to give you some important statistics. We want to tell you why it's important, give you some of our thoughts in terms of what you should use and how you should use it, some samples, give you some of our favorite tools, give you some insights on our recommendations possibly for paid advertising, and go over analytics, which is always a big issue. And then since we are on this virtual Zoom call and things have changed, we have some thoughts we'd like to share in terms of what messaging should happen in 2020. And then and at that point we'll open it up for some questions based on what you guys want to ask.
Cool.
So here's some statistics. Really, I assume everyone associated has some level of understanding of, or has used social media, but everyone pretty much is using social media. What that means is, millennials are using a lot of Instagram and TikTok, and even younger generation TikTok, and even Generation X, that usage is growing. We see more baby boomers perhaps on Facebook. People utilize social media for everything from interacting with their friends to also shopping and researching your brand and what you offer. Um, I wish more people would. For example, I have 2 items sitting in my garage right now that I have to package back up and box back up because not enough due diligence was done researching the size of a backpack and and some other items. So I now have to return them. They were not sized as originally thought. But had someone in my household done a little bit more research, I wouldn't have to be returning those this week. Social media, I mean, in terms of advertising ability, it's a great tool. And then within everything, there is tons of video is probably the #1 source of content out there. And we're going to talk about that a lot today in terms of what video can do for you, the importance of it, ways to utilize it. Video is growing enormously, especially even in these times that we're in now. People are spending more time at home. Video, social media, all this usage has grown. And then the one fact that I still think is crazy is that there's 500 million daily viewers just of stories every day. I mean, that just shows you how much time people spend on their phone and online engaging with and utilizing social media. So this is all like, big numbers, but why is this all important? What are some of the other like sort of meaningful things we can talk about? Like, one, it's the fastest way to communicate with people, right? We're all experiencing it right now, importantly, but if you needed to make a change, if you needed to have an announcement, if you needed something that you needed to communicate to people as fast as you can, social media is the easiest, quickest, most efficient way of doing that. But what else is it? It's also a great way for you to have a conversation with your customers. It's no different from if you're a bar owner or restaurant owner visiting different tables in your establishment and talking to your guests. You get a lot of feedback. They tell you what their favorite items are. You get suggestions for what you should add. They talk about how often they come. This is all great, anecdotal information you can use that provides value for your marketing and your messaging and your business in general. And then on top of that, we get all of this great, actual data. What's the average age? Where do they live? What other pages do they interact with? What behaviors do we have? And this is additional information and a great resource to help you shape your marketing. Not even just on social media, but you can find out what are the age ranges, what are the areas, what are some of the interests that people engage with the most based on what they do on your page. And you can use that in your offline marketing. I think I have 1 or 2 more points there before we
Oops. Yeah.
skip ahead. I'm sorry.
It keeps going back for some reason.
And then again, it's having a social media page gives you access to all the great tools that are part of advertising within social media. We'll talk about that more in detail. And again, it's just a great way to enhance your brand. You can give yourself personality. You can give yourself more than just a logo. You can actually have a voice and a character that resonates in terms of what your business is, what you do, what your brand is, more than just a business card. So it's just a great way to accentuate and enhance your overall brand. So now, one of the questions we were asked is like, what's the best social media platform in the Coachella Valley? In our opinion, the honest answer is whichever works best for you. There's tons of various options out there. You can use one, you can use multiple. You don't have to use everything, but we suggest use the one that you feel the most comfortable with in terms of can you make content that works in that platform. Like if you don't have a lot of images that you can utilize, Instagram's probably not the best source for you because that's such a image and photography focused medium. Obviously, if you can't do video, then YouTube might not be the best thing. If you're, say, a very active sports bar, perhaps Twitter is a better way to engage with people as they're, talking about the game in real time and develop a following engagement in that matter. So it's all based on how much time you have, type of media you can create, as well as sort of like what tone of voice you can take and also separate from yourself. Obviously, especially if we're independent business owners. There can be a time when you want to make sure you separate your own personal opinions and voice from your brand's opinion and its voice, as well as just, do you have a brand or business where you can take a little more risk or be more risque in terms of having a sense of humor, making some jokes, being a bit provocative? What is it that you're willing to risk, your brand's image into being associated with? And that can also be important in terms of what social media is best for you. If you're not, into doing a silly dance video, then TikTok probably wouldn't work. And if you don't have the time to, create lots of content, then Snapchat's probably not best suited for you either. That all being said, with all the various options out there, I feel it's important to secure every handle for your brand, just so no one else takes it. You don't want someone else using your name out there on on TikTok or on Snapchat or somewhere else where you may not be active, because that could be misrepresenting your brand. And there might be a time when that technology changes, or your brand changes, or your abilities change, and then you will want to use it. So may as well secure everything now while it's available, or when it's available, and not worry about it later.
My turn. All right, finally.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to be talking about social media marketing strategies, and the two main things that we're going to be focusing on is just Facebook and Instagram. So starting with Facebook, one strategy or recommendation that I would have is join groups or communities. And I say groups or communities, it's basically the same thing, but if you want to join a group from an owner perspective, then maybe you can use groups like social media marketing or how to market your business on social media. There's groups for that. And then communities, I would say, is more local. So there is happenings in the Coachella Valley, that's a group, or hospitality in the Coachella Valley, that's another group if it applies to your business. So I would try to do a search on Facebook and try to find what are the best groups that you can join. And then that way you can start promoting your business, or, see news for what other people are doing or what consumers are looking for. So I think that's a great tool. Use the marketplace if it's appropriate. So if you are offering a service, or if you have actual products that you want to sell, this is a direct way, kind of like maybe like Etsy or eBay or something like that, where you can directly just go show your products or your services, and you can have a direct communication with consumers as well. Chatbots and Messenger. So Doug is going to touch more on that later on, but basically I think it's very important to try to be, on top of your communication with any kind of consumer. And clearly we're not available 24/7. So having that set up, it's a way for, your consumer to know that you're listening, you care, and somebody's going to get back to you as soon as, we receive the message. So I think that's really important. And also Facebook rates you on how quickly you respond to the people that ask you questions. Share interactive stories. I think, if you go back to some of the stats, over 500 million people seeing stories every day. So if you're not on stories, you're missing out. Go live. People love when you guys go live. So just make sure if you want to make this into a habit, just make sure you do that like if it were a TV show, where every Tuesday at 5 p.m. this show goes on. So try to do the same so your customers or consumers get used to you doing that on a consistent basis. And then have a budget for advertisement, because with everything that's going on and all the things that are changing right now, doing things organically can only take you so far. And then clearly Doug is going to touch up on advertisement in a little bit. So social media marketing strategies for Instagram. Curate your feed. So I see Instagram as an art gallery where you showcase the best that your business has to offer. So just make sure you're not posting just because. Make sure that every post you have and every copy you write underneath that post has a purpose. Add shoppable posts if appropriate. So if you own a clothing store, people don't like to click. People just want a one-stop thing to just tell me what I need to do, one click and it's done, right? So if you maybe have a shopping clothing line or something like that where people can just see your post, see how the outfit looks, click, and they can just make the purchase and the sale directly from Instagram, that's a plus. Post interactive stories, again, Instagram and stories is like they're married. So make sure when you're doing stories, you're always tagging location, you're always doing mentions, you're always doing hashtags, and you can always make them smaller so that, you know, your Instagram story doesn't look like a mess. But make sure you're always doing that, because let's say I do a post in Palm Springs and I tag Palm Springs, you're more likely for that tag location to show on the Palm Springs side of things, and people that have maybe never heard of your business before now know that you exist. So that's great. Later on, we're gonna talk about more about video, but video is everything right now, and it's, you know, it's great because it lets you reach and engage with your audience even more. So make sure that you're starting to tap into IGTV. I know it's a little uncomfortable. I don't even know how I'm sitting in front of you guys today because I'm a little uncomfortable to, you know, just be in front of a camera. But if you can do that, try to showcase your business that way also. Create highlights. And I have a photo here of Cord's highlights so that you kind of see what I'm talking about. This is a way to highlight or showcase the best things, or maybe events you covered, or behind the scenes, or the culture of your business. So you can do those little things, or maybe if you have, you know, most frequently asked questions, you can have a little highlight there so people know where to go for those questions. Have a hashtag strategy. So again, organically, it's starting to get more difficult to reach the amount of people that we were able to reach 5 years ago. So creating, you know, tagging location, doing mentions, and having a hashtag strategy that makes sense for the specific post you're talking about is going to help you push that post further organically. And again, have a set budget, because again, organically can only take you so far. Some of the social media tips. So before, I'm not sure, maybe some of you or all of you already have social media accounts for your businesses, maybe not, but you can just take a break, sit down, define what your goals are, know your target audience, where they are. So if, you know, they're younger, maybe go on Instagram, or maybe go on Facebook. If they're an older demographic, just make sure which ones to use. Create a monthly content calendar so that you can, again, be consistent, interact with your audience, monitor and engage every day if possible, and try to, you know, sometimes people will reply with a thumbs up, and, you know, try, even if it's the little things, try to always interact with them. Resize imagery to fit each platform. Not one size does not fit all on social media, so just make sure you take the time and put in the effort to switch sizing. For Instagram, try to do a square. For, you know, Facebook, maybe more horizontal, and stories, it's vertical. Humanize your brand. Now more than ever, I think this is a very important point. Invest in paid advertising, and we'll keep mentioning paid advertisement, but it's nowadays is really important. Use hashtags strategically. Share quality visual content, like Doug was saying, when you choose what social media platforms you want to tap into. Make sure, you know, for example, like I said, Instagram it's like a gallery. So if you don't have a lot of imagery, or if you don't have quality imagery, maybe Instagram is not the right thing for you to do yet. Maybe work on creating an asset library with, you know, quality imagery or videos that you can share. Maybe that's something that you can do in the near future. Measure and analyze. that always changes, you know, not everything that you put out there is going to be well received by everybody. So just make sure you're always seeing the results, seeing what's working, what's not working. When you read the comments, pay attention to what your consumers are saying, because that's going to help you create the next month's, you know, content calendar. You just have to do, execute, and reassess and execute every month. And then watch for what's trending and keep learning, because technology is not stopping. It's never going to stop, and it's always constantly changing and evolving. So just make sure you're always staying on top of things. So here we have some content ideas. So you can share, some of the content ideas could be sharing company news, awards, anniversaries. If you have an employee that's been with you for 10 years or since the day you open, I'm sure a lot of your consumers know that person, and they would love to see, you know, that it's their anniversary and that they're part of your company for so long, and that you care about that person just as they care about you. Employee profile is a great way to I think, to showcase your employees and maybe what they like to do and how long they've been with the company, and maybe share a little thing if they're okay with about them, so that your consumers or your customers know them, and that starts conversations when the people go to your business. You can share how-tos and Q&As. Questions, when you ask questions or on social media, that always sparks conversation. So I think that's a fun way to interact with consumers. People die for reviews and testimonials, because it's like the new word of mouth 2020. So make sure you're always sharing the positive things that other people are saying about your business. Industry news, if it applies to you, tie into your local happenings. If if you're in Palm Springs, maybe there's a couple of local events that you can talk about. And then products and services, clearly, if you have something that you want to sell, make sure you offer it here and there, but just try not to be so salesy and make things more conversational. And clearly, I have a pyramid here that shows you basically the same things. Don't try to focus so much on the monthly, bi-weekly part, but more of what's inside the pyramid. So entertain, inspire, start conversation, teach how to do something, and provide relevant information. And then here I have a calendar sample from one of our clients, so that you can kind of, take a look and see if that's something that you want to apply to your business and to your, the monthly things that you want to do to plan for social media. Like I said, consistency is everything. And if you're just posting on the fly, sometimes I feel like you could do so much more, right? So I think this is a good way to be consistent. I have some hashtags there that I like to use, and I change them clearly depending on the post or what we're talking about. But that's basically that. Then Doug?
Okay, so talked about this a little bit, but there's a lot of different content that can be created. Right now, one of the most powerful formats, and it's sort of always been the most powerful formats in terms of media creation, is video. Video is literally everywhere. It's on your phone, it's on your TV. It can even be on your watch, as I discovered from my wife's smartwatch yesterday. People love to watch video. It's a great way of telling stories, and these social media platforms are even designed to have you watch as much video as possible. I'm sure everyone has been trapped in some rabbit hole of suggested videos that they just keep going down further and further and further, where no one has time to watch a 15-minute video, but somehow I've watched 15 consecutive 2-minute videos
Guilty.
that are all being suggested one after the other. Part of this is, these are all these social media platforms are also publishers, and digital advertising is a main source of their revenue. And as a business, as someone who wants to market themselves, you would actually spend a little bit more to advertise in video. So they have been very strategic in making sure that more videos are being shared. If you post a video versus a photo on your Facebook account, you'll actually get an increased boost in terms of your overall reach. They want this type of content. They know people respond to this content, And so they're giving you more ways to share it and better engagement by doing it. So it's just a good strategy to have to enhance your potential reach, as well as if your video is good, people will watch it. And as you can see, social video generates 1,200% more shares than text and image content combined. And and it's not just the goofy videos or the YouTubers that my kids watch. It's people want to see video content from brands. They want to see how it's used. They want to see informational videos, instructional videos. They want to know how the product works. They want that content because instead of reading, going through a diagram or any visuals, people would much rather watch than have to do the work. So again, with that, we do have some videos here. We're not going to try to play them because the lag and the sound might not be good, but this is somewhat of an example of different types of sizing that can be created. All of these have different images, different ads. Hopefully you've seen them. Obviously, we've probably all gone to Stuffed Pizza at least once in our lives if we're on this call, because there are 2 locations. But
as often as possible, Doug. As often as possible.
Absolutely. But now if you can't go, they do deliver. So we just want to make sure everyone's aware. So that being said, I think the next thing we have to talk about is some of our tools, I believe.
Some fun tools. So some of the favorite tools to make social media easier. So Sprout Social, that's the scheduling tool that we use for all of our clients to schedule all the content out for the month. It lets you do hashtag strategy, and it analyzes your actual page to tell you what days and what times are best to post. So if that's something that you are interested in knowing how, that's a great way to do it. Later is another scheduling tool that I've used in the past, and I really like it because they have more of an Instagram focus, and they give you the options to try to see how your feed will look, and you can move images around to have that perfect aesthetic for the page with your branded colors and things like that. So I really like that. And I actually got an email from them today saying that they're offering 2 months free of their premium. So their actual regular service is free, but if you want that information, I can pass that along later. Canva, I love Canva because not everybody is an expert designer on how to put stuff out there. So I think Canva is a great way for beginners to try to push a little on different graphics, different sizing. You can create your Instagram highlights, where we talked about that earlier. So I think it's a really fun app to use, and they have desktop and app as well. Repost apps. So I think that's really useful if you have user generated content that you would like to share on your page. I think that's a great way to do that also. iMovie, if you want to tap into creating your own videos, I think iMovie is a really easy tool to try to edit them. Unfold, I love Unfold because I love all the apps. I love Unfold because it gives you templates already, pre-made templates for Instagram stories. So basically you just plug in the images or videos or a mix of image and video, and they have tons of different templates that you can use, and maybe you can just stick to one so that you start having that repetitive thing, so people know that that's what they're going to see on your when they go on your social media and your brand and things like that. And then Cordash, which is our tool. Doc, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, Cordash is our own custom analytics, metrics, and overall measurement tool. It captures more than just social media, but it's great because instead of logging into Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or anything separately, we can view everything on its own on one page, as well as we're able to merge all the information holistically so we can see overall social media growth. Since everything's combined, we're able to see in a simple chart over, say, a month, growth in certain metrics. Even on a client phone call I had just before this one, we're looking through it and we noticed that they had a significant growth in new page likes, and we're easily able to determine that was associated with an email they had sent out just that day. So it's, in addition to all the metrics and measurements in terms of what's working on social media, it also gives us a great way to sort of combine that information, easily see anything in terms of what's happening on our website or any other metrics that we can tie into what we're accomplishing through social media and what we're seeing in real life or overall sort of like business growth.
Perfect.
So paid advertising. Social advertising is easy and it's hard. What do I kind of mean by that? So if you see what looks like an analytics graph there at the bottom, that's actually Facebook's value right now. Or I think I took that screen grab 2 days ago. They're actually worth more now than they've ever been. You can obviously see the dip from this past March. So why are they worth so much? Because their advertising tool is so powerful and easy to use. Yes, it's incredibly easy if you just want to hit the button that says boost at the bottom of your post, and they keep telling you like, hey, just spend $5. What's it gonna hurt? Like spend, and they make a lot of money with people just spending $5. But they also make a lot of money with advertisers like ourselves and agencies who are utilizing all the sophisticated tools and methods to reach people, and it's because it's so successful. Especially right now, we're able to reach so many people who are at home or in a different location, or even for B2B, we're seeing increased abilities and better results because we can't target people at their businesses the same way they are, because I don't know how many people on this call are actually in their office versus working from home, but Facebook is actually giving us a great method of reaching them, as well as obviously LinkedIn and other tools of reaching businesses based on their target, based on their industry or job title. But it's also incredibly hard. So we're talking, there's so many different formats. There's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Snapchat. You can basically advertise on any social media platform. So what are you doing, and which one are you choosing? And then where's the ad going? Where's it being seen? Is it on mobile? Is it on desktop? Do you have a video? Do you have a slideshow? Do you have a carousel? And then again, it's who are you targeting? Do you want people just to live in an area? Do you want to make sure it's someone who lives in the Coachella Valley, who has who likes to watch football, who plays video games, and also has visited your business at least once in the past month? That's a potential target that can be created on Facebook. There are certain limits that they have imposed. If you see this other dip around 2019, that was when Cambridge Analytica happened, which was the big fiasco and debacle in terms of people utilizing a lot of this data and targeting information. And since then, Facebook has removed all the third-party data that it used to target people. And so we don't have the same ability to target. It can't be as granular and sophisticated, but it's still incredibly powerful and also one of the lowest cost per entry in terms of a sophisticated level of targeting. Now, with all of this, really what's important is you have to determine what your ad dollars are going to be used for. What is the goal? Do you want people just to see your great video more? Do you want people to set foot in your business? Are you looking to sell more? Are you looking to generate just new page likes? Those are all factors. Those are all potential outcomes. There's really no limit in terms of what you can try to accomplish using social media advertising. So it's important to figure out what that's going to be before you go forward. And then with that, it's you can do a cost per click basis, which is you don't pay until someone actually clicks the ad. You can do a cost per 1,000 basis, which is buying impressions. You can base your ads on a lead. You can base your ads on a conversation. Andrea mentioned earlier that about live chat and some of those methods. We can actually create ads where then the user is prompted to start a conversation right there in real time on Facebook, You can have an individual from your company or utilize an outside service to have a conversation, get the name, address, email, phone number, all the pertinent information associated with this lead. And the next thing you know, you have a new lead in your CRM in order to reach out to for selling your home or selling your business service, or sort of any instance where that kind of information being generated in a frictionless, smooth, easy environment for you to then follow up with later. And we're actually seeing higher engagement rates and higher conversion rates, upwards of 30%, whereas previous models of capturing the lead information from a website, we were seeing like closer to a 3% conversion rate. So we're actually performing better in this new live chat model than we were before. And then with all this, obviously, there's a lot to be reported. There's a lot to be measured. There's a lot to be figured out. That way we can, improve it. And with that, we can talk a little bit further. I don't know how many people are around Andrea's age who don't recognize this this black box there, but that's a VCR, right? Video cassette recorder. But we also in terms of analytics, we also have a term for VCR. That's video completion rate, and we've been talking a lot about video today. But video completion rate is sort of how much of your video are people watching. If you're creating good videos, if it's important for you, you should also keep tabs on how much people view. And this metric is important for a lot of reasons and could indicate several things. It could say you're making great videos because people keep watching them, or you're making bad videos because people just skip them and move on to the next thing. You're also able to see, it's also could be indicative of your level of targeting if you're using it in an advertising model. If people have an option to skip your ad on YouTube, let's say, and most people do, but if they don't, if they actually sit there and watch it for 10, 15, 20 seconds out of a 30-second ad, that means that the message you've created is resonated with them strongly. So it's a good message, and we're obviously hitting the right sort of audience because they're sitting there watching it, not just hitting skip and moving on to the video that they're hoping to watch. So all these sort of metrics, they can help you improve the development of your content for social media in terms of making better posts, building your reach, getting better engagement, growing your followers. And there's different measurements for that, as well as just the information and insights that we're gaining from these ads and from the metrics as well can help you grow your business, grow your brand, grow your sales. There's sort of two ways of analyzing the data in terms of for social media, whether it's getting more engagement or getting better results. And ideally, we always look for the combination of both. Some of the key ones that we look at are obviously reach and engagement. That's sort of how many people actually saw what you posted and how many people interacted with it. And that's all rewarded in terms of the algorithm. And then we also in terms of growing your business, we look at clicks, site data, and other conversions that we can measure. Certain ad tools allow you to measure how many people saw your ad and then actually set foot into your storefront, or how many people clicked on your click to make a phone call. And then if you're utilizing a tracking phone number, you can then analyze those phone calls that are being generated from your social media. These are all measurements, and again, this is all sort of tied back into what your capabilities are, what your goals are, and what you're interested in doing.
Cool. So let's talk about messaging in 2020. Clearly, we are in this new era where consumer behavior is, has shifted and is going to continue to do that. And your response should definitely reflect that on all your channels. Make sure you're sharing relevant content and be proactive in answering questions. Like we said before, that goes a long way and will build brand loyalty. Customer safety. People want to hear about the policies and procedures that you're following to keep not only the customers, but the employees safe. And I think the most important one is to be mindful and empathetic, because I'm sure, we're all going through the same thing. So just put yourself in other people's shoes, and we're all trying our best, and some people are dealing with this better than others. So just make sure you're mindful and empathetic.
So we covered a lot today. You know, social media is a lot of things. We're some experts in that. We're also experts in a lot of other services, from website design to video editing. I saw someone ask, how do we edit? We're actually fortunate enough, we have our own in-house video editing team. I think we have 4 different editing bays. And actually everyone in the video department has their own at-home editing bays, so we actually haven't lost any steps in terms of video production, motion graphics. Those guys are able to generate anything that we imagine or a client wants. So we're very fortunate to have that, but there are other tools we use for video editing. And it's also just great having this larger full service agency, because as we kind of touched on before, our information can actually be utilized in other aspects. Like one great trick, because Facebook advertising or social media advertising is so easy to do and cost effective, it's actually a great way to test out campaign language or images or video ideas before graduating to a larger media spend in terms of print ad or television buys. These are all the benefits in terms of who we are. So this is us. And if you have any more questions for us, I think now is the time for us to answer them.
Thank you so much, Doug and Andrea. That was a ton of great information. We have quite a few questions, and I realize that the questions are going to be relevant to different parts of the presentation, so please bear with us. But I'm actually going to start backwards, since with the most recent questions asked, so that we can relate it to the information we just heard. One of the questions is, how can we be confident that the social media platform reports that we're given, the analytics, are authentic?
So yeah, that is a good question, and especially in terms of IAB certification. I had mentioned Cambridge Analytica before, so obviously there are some false accounts, fake accounts out there. One good metric, and you have to look at everything with somewhat of a jaundiced eye, but as Andrea was saying, monitoring your engagement, looking at, you know, people posting, that's more likely, yes, a real person, and obviously you can dive deeper into who is actually engaging with your page by viewing their profile based on the time and interest you have. Facebook does also, and Google, all the online advertising platforms do reconcile and certify if there is any fraud that they detect in terms of usage with your account. But that is a good question. It's something that everyone, I think, in the industry is concerned about. There is not as much oversight. And, you know, this is bordering into political Facebook, who's friends with who's in terms of what can happen. But it is something to be mindful of. So it's good to test. It's good to keep an eye on your results. And it's good to measure as much as possible. And then tying anything you're doing into any real life tangible data that can give you a more accurate picture, especially if you have something where you're measuring people visiting the store or having messages with people online. Those are tangible things that obviously can't just be faked. That would be my answer to that question.
Okay. And so along the same lines, and asked from Lisa as well, who would be the equivalent of the FCC to digital tracking and reporting?
So in terms of general, there is IAB certification. When we talk about CPMs and cost per thousand, there's actually fractions of every penny that's being spent that actually goes to other agencies whose job it is. These are all independent operators whose job it is to measure and provide and provide representative data that guarantees the authenticity of these clicks and this information.
Okay, perfect. The next question has to do with creating video. What programs or apps do you use to create the video or create your videos?
Do you want to do it professionally or just yourself?
Well, it sounds to me like this is something from business owners. So let's go with just a non-commercial, right? Non-professional.
Okay. Well, I talked about iMovie. It's as one of the apps that I like to use to kind of help you edit all the raw footage that you have when you take a video. Something that I like to use that is not an app, but it's called a Gimbal, which is a phone stabilizer. And you basically put your phone vertical or horizontal, and no matter how you move it, it's gonna look great. It's not gonna look like your hand shaking. So I think that adds a little bit to, making sure that it's done well. And lighting, you can buy little lights on Amazon. Like I don't know if you could see it. I have this little light here. Same, you see?
You can see it reflecting off my glasses.
And then you can buy like a phone tripod. I don't know if you could see that. And it switches vertically or horizontally as well. If you want a little tripod, you can also use that as a selfie stick if you're recording yourself. So I think those are really cool tools to use to start.
I can appreciate the tip on the gimbal. We're going out to see quite a bit of our members and shooting quick videos as well.
I love my gimbal. When I had to record, when I, go to clients and I have to do live event coverage, at the beginning, I was just like, after an hour, I was like, okay, my hand's shaking, my arm's shaking, I need help. So we got the gimbal, and it's been great because it also has like a little stand where you can put it in a table or something. If you don't want to move it, rest your arm and then start again and move around. It's really great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. This is a Facebook question. You suggested joining Facebook groups and communities. Should that be done as a business or from your personal page?
You can do that as either, but I would recommend doing it as a business, right? As a consumer, yeah, you can join your own kind of groups too for different reasons. But as a business, the reason why you're trying to join a group is that you can see what other people are saying in those communities, and maybe you can start sharing some of what you offer and what your business brings to the table and to the community. That way, is that a doggy? I see a doggy on Doug's screen.
Sorry about that.
That's cute. Everybody loves dogs. Come on. So I think, joining groups as a business, I would recommend that, because at the end of the day, we're trying to push that, right?
Okay. Yes, of course. And still on the subject of Facebook, hashtags are so popular or can be used with Instagram. Can they be used on Facebook as well? It's been suggested that maybe Facebook is not the appropriate platform for hashtags. What's your opinion on that?
Maybe if you have, as part of your copy, maybe you can add one hashtag if it's there, but I wouldn't, with Instagram, you can go on the first comment and do up to 30 hashtags. That would look terrible on Facebook. I would not recommend that. And not tons of people actually click on the hashtags and to look further like they do with Instagram. So maybe one, I wouldn't go any further than that.
And I use hashtags as a sarcastic side joke. Like, I don't ever use hashtags as click on it and go, like mama needs a new, I don't know, whatever. But I just do it sarcastically, and but I never really thought that it was something that they wouldn't click through, right? I would just do it for fun.
You mentioned much. That's fun.
Yeah. You mentioned humanizing your brand when you were talking also about Facebook and Instagram. Talk a little bit about that. What is that?
So what I mean by that is, for example, right, us at Core Media, if it would just be all business, it looks so salesy. It looks like we only care about your money and that's it. When you humanize your brand, you show, the people that are working hard to make Core Media great and all the things that involve this huge, brand and agency that we have. So showcasing your employees, or showcasing what events we attend, or the local community, to me that's humanizing the brand. Making sure you're not just selling or a service or showcasing your business, but everybody and all the people that are behind that.
Okay. That's definitely some great suggestions. Is TikTok safe? Yes, no, maybe so?
I think it's safe.
Yeah.
I think it's fun.
It
depends. I mean, it's young. It's a really young crowd. So you have kids, Doug. So I don't know if you want to comment on that.
None of my kids have the app. My kids have been featured on their cousin's app. This is also getting into like larger political possible
Mhm.
territory. But TikTok is actually owned by the Chinese government. So in terms of like information, access to data, that it does present some fears to certain people. I would say in terms of anything that happens online, it's always just good to be cautious about what you share, cautious about information. Take as many safeguards as you can in terms of your privacy as well as your data. You know, invest in a way to scramble your passwords or use something like a PathPack or a LastPass. In terms of internet security, and this doesn't just apply to social media, but I would suggest, you know, safeguarding yourself, especially safeguarding your business, and implementing any sort of practice to limit any type of exposure that could happen should anything become hacked, should anything become unreliable. And then also, especially for your own person, you know, be mindful of what you're putting on the internet because it does live forever and it's always around.
So along the same lines, I have got to ask a question. It wasn't asked here, but it's just my personal theory. You know, all of those games that you play on Facebook, you know, when they're click on this app, answer 10 questions, and we will tell you about your personality. You know, what does Discovering the Tiger say about you, and so on and so on. Again, is that another form of collecting data and so on? What's your opinion on that?
They are collecting data. It has been found that some of those have been used where basically a data, I mean, this is not just social media, this is broader internet. But yes, the dark web does exist. People do hack data. It happens in social media accounts, it happens for banks, it happens all over the world. And unfortunately, most of the time, it's not even announced till months after the fact when we're actually alerted to the large-scale security breach. But yes, those are ways of getting personal information that could possibly be used as a what are the secondary follow-up question, personal question that in terms of your password backup. So yes, always be mindful of what information you're putting out there, who you could be responding to, whether it be an email, a text message, something that you see online. It's those are, I think that's a whole other presentation that would last an hour on ways to safeguard yourself in your business in this day of sort of online hacking and, you know,
I agree. And I think that's
theft.
something that we really want to put out there in the next, 30 to 45 days. I think it would be a great follow-up to this segment. It's just
Well,
safeguards.
Just to chime in a little bit, one thing to keep in mind too with they all track data. All of these apps track data. There's actually a great episode of Parks and Recreation, if anyone's familiar with it, but the guy gets upset because he gets an ad on his computer that says, thank you for looking at this, Ron Swanson. And he gets upset that they knew who he was. So really your option is to be on him or do what Ron did, pick up your computer and throw it in the garbage. So it's really, we live in a world of data. There's pros and cons to it. I mean, I personally love the fact that I get recommended ads for things that I want. You know, I get ads for Indianapolis Colts stuff because I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan. So they find that out from me by tracking my data. That's how they go through my stuff. So,
So I guess ultimately the rule of thumb is,
big thing.
yeah, ultimately the rule of thumb is change your password every 20 to 30 days. Something that we all know and probably rarely do, right? No?
Yep.
Yeah.
Safeguards.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a whole other presentation on that.
Yeah. Okay. So presentation number 3 to the series. Okay. Got it. Okay. So we have a few people that have requested a copy of today's presentation. Can we make that available to them when we after we conclude? Maybe we can email it out. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, I think
with your
okay.
PowerPoint? Okay, good.
I think we
Go
had
back and
sent
take a
a
look.
PDF
Yep.
Okay.
to you, Brendan, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
you may
we'll
already have
just
a PDF. You can share that.
when we send out the list of people that were on the call, we'll make sure we attach that with it.
Sounds good.
And also reminding everyone that the call is being recorded and we will likely publish this on social media early next week.
Well, with that, we are right at 1 hour, and I really appreciate you're taking the time and delivering this information, answering all of our questions. I thank all of our participants and all of those who have taken an hour of their day to join us and learn a little bit more about social media. You know, these are the subjects that you, the members, have requested, and we are doing our best to deliver. I do want to take a moment to thank the GCV staff. We have Enda in events. We have Debbie out in Cathedral City, who is our admin support. We have Rebecca Rizzo, our Director of Member Services, myself, Diana Soto, and Brandon Marley, our Director of Communications. So a shout out to everyone. Thank you for all you do, staff. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Cord Media, and thank you, members. Have yourself a great, great day.
Quick reminder, we do still have some masks available, so contact us if you need those. Those are available for free to members. If you're not sure what that is, please email Diana. You can email myself as well, or Rebecca, and I'll put you in touch with one of them. Also, I think we have a few spots left for tomorrow's lunch bunch at Mario's. We do have a cap on those right now because of social distancing requirements and everything. So make sure that you get signed up for that. We had a great one last week at Enzo's. We're so excited to see people in person. Not that this is not wonderful. We're happy to see you on here, but we like to mix it up a little. So we'll be excited to see you all in person as well. And thank you again, Cord.
Thank you. It was fun.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone have a great day.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it, Brandon and Rebecca,
Thank
Doug and
you.
Andrea. Thank you.